Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Kaba Ilco number 53226 SE 26D. There's a KA in the part number. Could probably be KD for this. This is this order is for a single cylinder, so key to like, it's going to be understood that that both sides are going to be the same key. Key to like would govern multiple locks. So this could be key KD or KA. So this is a 53226. This is what we would call here a profile cylinder or a Euro cylinder. Profile cylinder is how I would know it to be called, and you're generally going to see it in this orientation in the lock set, upside down, with the Bible, which is this area here, which is going to contain the springs and the driver or top pins, held in by set screws. Set screws are a nice feature for a couple of reasons. They are easy to manipulate on a single chamber basis. Okay, they're also very excellent at resisting what would be called a comb attack or a comb pick attack. If you had a device to try to attack this cylinder, you couldn't force it in there and force all the pins down because those are threaded set screws. The other cylinders could be, cylinders can be bypassed, let's just say, leave it at that. But a threaded in cap over the chambers in the Bible is in fact a feature of many high security cylinders. So this is a profile cylinder. They are installed this way, where gravity is going to be having the pin stack hitting those springs, and as a result, it's not the preferred method to really have the orientation of a cylinder, but that's how these locks are done. Over time, it's suspected and probably proven somewhere that those springs fatigue, and all of a sudden you're going to have a cylinder that doesn't work so well. And in fact, now that I think of it, I can attest to the spring fatigue in here because I've had a cylinder installed for a decade or so, and over time they do simply fatigue just from the very weight of the bottom pin, any master pins, and then the driver or top pin resting on that. Now, having said that, this is a double cylinder profile cylinder. Key on both sides. Okay, Kaba Ilco can manufacture this in lots of orientations: single cylinder with a thumb turn, two thumb turns, two keys, obviously, one-sided, etc. This is a specific size as well, and this is in a Schlage E Keyway, which is curious. I don't know that I've sold a profile cylinder in an E Keyway in the past, but that's what the client requested. This is a classic. This is from the family of, I think, 7 Schlage Classic Keyways: C, E, C, E, F, G, F, G, E, F might be the 7th. E is not protected, it's not restricted, it's just less common, but it is certainly out there. This would probably make a person have to go to an actual locksmith to get a key cut rather than just your cobbler or your home center. Okay, this is a 6-pin cylinder, Schlage E Keyway. Profile cylinders are held in with a screw that will run through the edge of the door into that threaded portion in the Bible. And that's what's literally going to hold the cylinder in place. You will, to insert this into your door, you're going to bring the boss, or they call the cam. I don't know that it's called a boss properly, but you're going to retract it back so it's flush. Then you'll slide it into the hole. You'll bring your bolt in from the edge of the door and lock it into that tapped hole that's there. Then at that point, the cylinder is captive in the door and won't move on you at all. Okay. Now let's dissect the part number. Okay, so we have a 53226. Now there is a link below this video to a document called How to Order. That's the governing document from Kaba Ilco, and that will tell us everything in terms of what to expect, how to proceed. 53226. So that tells us, it gives us the keyway options, and it tells us the dimensional properties, and it tells us how many chambers are in the cylinder. Okay, so 53226, that means that it's a 6-pin. That is evidenced by 6 set screws in each end in the Bible. That is indeed a 6-pin key. Okay, This is, you can do a Schlage C, Schlage E, Schlage F, Schlage SX. SX is a composite. That means that into that cylinder you could run likely all of the Schlage key blanks, classic key blanks. You don't want that, unless of course you have an FG blank, okay? Because the warding in the cylinder is basically going to be perverted, milled down, thinned out, widened and opened up so that all of those keys will pass. That is not going to give you a really great mating between the warding or the grooves on the key blank and the broaching that's in the cylinder. Okay, you're going to want that as firmly tight as possible. And when you have a multi-section or an all-section key blank, something is perverted, milled down, thinned out, widened out, opened up to permit multiple broachings or keyways or profiles to enter. You don't want that. The reason you don't want it is the sloppiness, the play that will be in the broach of the plug. Plus, you are now inviting 7 different keyways to work your cylinder. Lots of room in that broaching of the cylinder plug for manipulation. So if you're doing a Schlage E, just order the E. It would be my guess. That X is going to be... it's important to have because you literally might have, you know, a G keyway or an FG. FG is not that uncommon. And you've got this one pesky, you know, sliding door on the back of your house, or, you know, in maybe the nursing home scenario where there are some suites that have locks like this. And listen, no one's going to be going into it. You don't expect anyone to try to manipulate the cylinder, but you do need to have a cylinder there, and, you know, the master, the TMK, the top master, needs to technically operate that lock. So it could be a lifesaver, is the bottom line, even though it has substantial drawbacks. Also tells us our A, B, and C dimensions, 28 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 28 millimeter. So that's basically an inch. Okay, basically an inch. Just heavy on an inch. On either end. Then we're going to have our B dimension of 10 millimeter. (7/16) maybe? I'm so old that they didn't teach it in school. So closer to 3/8. Okay. So an overall of the body itself is going to be about 2 and let's see here now, 2 9/16 of the body itself. That's going to be really important because you're going to need to mimic that. You're going to need to match what you're replacing. You're probably ordering this because the door that was supplied to you has a, you know, might have a quickset keyway. Very common. Might have a Schlage C keyway too. Might be something odd. I'm not real familiar with residential sliding and swinging doors from the Pellas and Armstrongs of the world. But maybe there's a Weiser or a Falcon or a Westlock key that works it. Probably Quickset would be my guess. That's the world's most common lock that's manufactured. I've been told by people in the know that Quickset ships 1 million locks a day. So it's probably Quickset. Well, you've got a Schlage C, probably the second most common keyway. And you know what? You just want all your doors to be keyed alike. Great. Okay, now speaking of keying it to your Schlage C, these are not difficult to key, although they do take a little more time because you're pinning them blindly. So I've repinned these lots of times. I don't love doing it because you have to literally test them, test your pin stack, etc. What I mean to say is each of these set screws will have to come out. You'll have to remove your springs, your top pins, or driver pins, any master wafers, of course your bottom pins. So when you introduce the new key into it, you're going to drop a pin into there. Let's say if the cut is 5, well, you're going to put a Schlage 5 in there and see if it works. And then you're going to put your top pin in your spring and just hold it down with your finger and then test them one chamber at a time. What you'll realize is that 5, that genuine 5, is either going to work or it's not going to work. In my experience, it's not going to work, and you need to be 3 or 6 thousandths higher or lower Don't quote me on that, but you'll need to be marginally higher or lower. So when I pin these, I use my universal kit, my lab green wedge kit, because then I'll take my Schlage 5, is that a 2.240? I forget. And I'll go 243, 246, 237, you get the point. And I'll tailor that. Then once I figure out how far off the Kaba product is from my Schlage depth and spacing charts, I will then adjust and pin the rest of them according to the same formula. I will drop all my bottom pins, I will put my drivers and my springs, I'll hold it down with my finger, and I'll test. I'll make sure it works perfectly. And then once I'm satisfied, I'll set all my set screws. So keying's not a problem, it's just, it does take longer. Because you're keying it blind, like interchangeable core small format, certainly. Moving through the part number 6 pin, that's important to know. If you want a 5 pin, order the 53225. The reasoning for that is, if you have 5 pin locks, there's no reason to introduce a 6-pin cylinder into the system. Doing so, you'll have to evacuate one chamber. You'll have to put that set screw back in to keep dirt and debris from coming into your cylinder broaching. The 6-pin keys you get are very likely not going to work in the existing locks because they're physically too long to enter the cylinder. So order the proper the proper length of cylinder that you need. SE, we've talked about that at length. Now the dash 2 in the part number is where we start to get dastardly. So dash 2. That's the position of the cam. Okay, so viewing it from the inside, the cam position, this can be either side really. So this could be a dash 2 or this could be a dash 10, depending on what, well, forgive me, it's going to be this way. They're holding it up this way, but they whatever. We're going to follow their direction, even though, you're going to install. I've never seen it installed this way. I don't think I have. So you're installing it this way. So this is what your dash 2 is going to look like. The cam's going to come off when you're viewing that. When you're looking at the silhouette, that's what you're looking at. So when I look at it this way, that's what I'm staring at. You've got to get the cam position correct because the rotation of the key, in terms of the cam and what it's driving, needs to be coordinated so that you can get proper lock operation, locking and unlocking, and the ability to remove the key in both the unlocked and locked position. So be sure to order the right cam properly. I have had clients simply order the cam wrong. Of course, the issue on the cam position is that it's not reversible in the field. That cam position has to come from the factory. So be mindful of that. Do again be mindful. It's a botheration in my opinion that the position of the lock is oriented the opposite way in which it is installed. So be sure that you're matching that. I don't want there to be confusion about that. Since I think it's only ever installed this way, it would be great if Kaba showed it that way. However, that's not going to keep us from getting it right. You can simply invert that over in your mind's eye. So you'll see the rest of the table of the other profile cylinders that are there. You've got your single cylinder with a thumb turn on the inside. You've got your half cylinders and your half thumb turns. Okay, half thumb turns, half cylinders, not necessarily uncommon. The half thumb turn is more more common than a half cylinder. You don't sell a ton of these, but you do occasionally. And I think it's probably because clients who have a home and they've got Schlage C everywhere else, they've got this funny quickset key and they never come in that door anyway. They put the key in the drawer and forget about it. Although, there's two different thoughts, schools of thought on that. I'd like all my house doors to have the same key. Or I just simply don't care. How you fall on that is where you fall on that. Two finishes, satin brass, which is an 04 finish, and then the 26D is satin chrome. Okay. Looking at the rest of the how to order, we've pretty much exhausted all of it except step 5, the keying. We can perform any of the keying that you need here. The factory can perform any keying that you need at the factory. You can obviously have it done locally, or you might possess the skills and the tools and the knowledge to do it yourself. Finally, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Kaba Ilco products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog for their brass cylinders. And it's within that catalog is exactly where you will find these profile cylinders or European style cylinders. You are going to see these a lot in Europe, that's for sure. You're going to see them on your residential doors as well. And I think the reason that you end up seeing them everywhere is that they're compact, they're petite, they're self-contained, they're very easily removed, provided you can get the door open. They will work in lock sets that have very small back sets. I think I've seen back sets that are like maybe 1.5 inches. I think Adams Wright has a European arm, and they've got some, storefront type hardware that will take a profile cylinder. The bottom line is you'll use it in those applications where, domestic manufactured locks, your Yales, your Schlages, your Corbin Russwins, your Sargents, your Medicos, etc., deal with the traditional pin tumbler cylinder construction. And I don't see profile cylinders, except in, I think Baldwin had some residential doors that took profile cylinders, and I believe they've discontinued all of it. But other than that, we here don't bump into it. But my last house had a set of sliders on it. Yep, had a profile cylinder in it. So there you go. Also on that link to the manufacturer's page, you will get the key blank catalog from Kaba Ilco. That's the comprehensive source governing almost all key blanks are listed in there, not all of them. There's a couple that are secret and not listed in there. But then also their documents regarding key machines and some historical catalogs are there as well. Any questions on the Kaba Ilco 53226 and an SE Keyway and a satin chrome or any other Kaba Ilco product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.